Welcome to the Six Sims of Manufacturing podcast. I'm your host, Adrienne Temple. Manufacturing is the industry that makes. From the tiniest widget in a subassembly to a high-performance automobile, every manufacturer has some connection to the final product. It is the intersection of production with a purpose that creates a mission that resonates throughout an organization. Embroidery Solutions, a textile manufacturer with facilities in Gaffney and Kingstree, South Carolina, is one of those organizations. Since 1999, Embroidery Solutions has been embroidering star fields for American-made U.S. flags. On Veterans Day, Larry Severini, owner of Embroidery Solutions, and members of his team, Sparky Avent, Elian Marquez, and Jose Velasquez, joined the podcast to share what it means to them to produce a part of such a significant symbol. Larry, first of all, I just want to welcome you and your team to the show. Thank you so much for being here. I wanted to give you a chance to introduce yourself and also members of your team as well. If you want to just provide an introduction, what you do there, a little bit about your background, that would be really great for the listeners that are following this podcast.
Sure. Well, thank you, Adrienne, for inviting us and Embroidery Solutions to the podcast. Proud to be South Carolina manufacturers here. We're textile. We're part of the broader textile industry here in South Carolina. We've got two locations, Kingstree and Gaffney. And the specialty that our niche of manufacturing is Shifley embroidery. So we make lace long good embroidery is what it's referred to as. And of course, as you know, and as we're proud to participate in here today for Veterans Day, we make a big component of the U.S. flag. We embroider the stars of the American flag. So both factories are very involved in embroidering commercial star fields for commercial flags sold at retail, sold on Amazon and e-commerce, as well as many thousands of our flags are sold to the government. For the Department of Defense, the Senate, the House, the Veterans Administration is a big component of our business. The VA distributes interment flags to any deceased veteran or their families in this country, and that's a big part of our production as well. So we've been in South Carolina now for 16 years manufacturing these products, and I wanted to invite my management team in, who are all just as passionate as I am about the honor and privilege we have of really being immersed in making maybe the most important symbol that represents America and our unity and our freedoms and the values that we all stand by. So it's really an honor to be in South Carolina doing this. It's interesting, we've been talking to local senators and some of our House representatives because our industry is facing some unfair competition in trade from foreign sources, and we're trying to get things straightened out. And all of our South Carolina politicians, none of them knew that almost 40% of all American flags in this country, truly manufactured American flags, are actually made right here in South Carolina. South Carolina is the dominant single state for the production of American flags.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a nice story. Yeah, and it gets their attention.
Yeah, for sure. That's a significant percentage of production.
Yes, correct. So, the history of our product is it's really lace embroidery. So the machines that are out here at both facilities were really not designed to make stars. They were really designed to make eyelet and fashion embroidery, primarily for women's wear, for intimate apparel, for dresses, couture fashion, high fashion, eyelets, scallops, for little girls' outfits. Just eyelet embroidery is really the generic term. But over the years, we've expanded and grown. And of course, the textile industry has been under pressure for many years with foreign imports and low-cost wages of foreign regions. So much of a core textile categories that represent our Shifley embroidery have gone offshore. But one of the last remaining vestiges of good, secure, constant business is stars for American flags, because most American consumers want to buy an American flag made in America. So that's the bulk of our business these days.
How did you get into star fields from primarily that sort of that eyelet product line. I mean, how did that transition happen to where you started getting into Starfields? Because when we first met, obviously you were already producing Starfields on that some of that original equipment. So how did that transition take place in the business?
Yeah, so our main factory was up in New Jersey before we had our South Carolina affiliations down here. We were up in New Jersey and we were dedicated for 35 years to fashion embroidery. But it kind of happened organically, Adrienne, because the writing was on the wall in the late 90s and early 2000s and mid 2000s with textiles going offshore. It was just a constant march. We lost the apparel end of the business first, and then the fashion side of the business started to migrate to China and Pakistan and India and Bangladesh and Cambodia and Vietnam. So we saw it coming, and we knew that we needed to find a little niche for ourselves. Timing in life is sometimes very valuable, and unfortunately, a very horrific event that we all in this country suffered through. 9/11 took place just about at the pinnacle of when our fashion business was starting to close down. And 9/11 hit, and the demand for American flags just skyrocketed, and we were the biggest embroiderer in the country. We remain the biggest embroiderer in the country. And the few embroiderers at that time could not come close to handling the demand for the Starfields and flags that were being sold during 9/11 and in the years to follow. So we naturally had more equipment, more capacity, and more resources than most of the small embroiderers who were servicing that industry. So we started to pick up a lot of business through that event. We were stitching internment fields for the Veterans Administration prior to 9/11. So we always had a kind of our toe in the business, but never in as big a way as 9/11, after 9/11. And since then, it's just continued to grow for us.
Yeah, that's just a amazing turn of events, especially because so many, you talked about textile production really shifting around that time frame. Definitely by 2000, there was a lot of different businesses that had shut down, and opportunities like that are so few and far between where you're able to shift to something else and leverage the skills that you already have. Remember, I was a textile graduate, and when I graduated, I remember, there were still jobs available in that industry. And then, the very next, group of graduates had more difficulty finding jobs in the textile industry. So it's a testament to your organization and the skills that you provide, and just what you're able to produce, that you're still here, still doing those things, and you were able to pivot and move to something else and leverage the equipment and the skill set of your people, and continue to thrive. I mean, that's not something that everybody can say they were able to do. So that's truly a testament to you and your team to still be here and still be doing that.
Well, thank you. I mean, we appreciate the credit, but we don't deserve it all, because luckily there was this niche that needed to be filled. And in this world of constantly seeking lower cost labor and lower cost products, we were lucky to be making the flag of the United States, which demands a certain amount of patriotism and of adherence to truly made in America principles, the Berry Amendment for most of our government work and whatnot. So we have capitalized, Adrienne. We've completely modernized our facilities. This facility here is as modern an embroidery factory as anywhere in the world. It's as new equipment. We've got equipment. We started putting in brand new machines in 2015, and every year we've put in a few more machines. We've got 10, and we're now shopping for number 11 and number 12 of our machinery, which are massive pieces of 25 yards long and 40 tons a piece. And they put out a lot of work. Had we not modernized, I don't think we wouldn't be the successful company we are today. Modernization has absolutely been the key to our survival. CMEP has been very, very effective in all of the programs that you've offered us, and all the support and all the training we've had from you, from our lean layout and our lean manufacturing disciplines to our Six Sigma. We've had our so many root cause analysis. We've done many things with the benefit of your support. So we've become a better company, modern equipment, better company, and managers here. Two of these gentlemen, Jose and Aline, came down from New Jersey with me. Aline at the very beginning, and Jose midway through our stay here. And our HR director, Sparky, has been with us almost 10 years now, and he's a Marine veteran. So I thought it was appropriate on Veterans Day to invite a veteran in with us. But we truly feel honored with what we do and the attention it provides for us. You know, it's kind of a unique thing to make the American flag. We all, you know, it's interesting. Everything that's being made in this country, it's interesting and it's got its own story. But the American flag has some patriotic value to it that it exceeds everything.
Absolutely. And there's
really
probably
does.
a strong sense of responsibility, right? In what you're
Yes.
producing, it's something that's easily recognizable and everybody expects the highest level of quality. So I'm sure there's a lot of responsibility in producing something that's so well known. So I'm glad you brought members of your team, because it would be good to kind of get their perspective as well, especially since I know a couple of them worked with you for quite some time. And Sparky, you being a veteran, I mean, first of all, let me say thank you for your service. It's Veterans Day today and every day. Thank you so much for your service and for what you've done for this country. It's much appreciated. But one thing we'll start with you actually, Sparky. I'm curious, just from your perspective, I mean, coming into this organization and obviously, you know, the contribution to the U.S. flag is a very significant segment of the business. I know there's other things that are produced there, but what does that mean to you to be a part of an organization that, you know, creates components for the U.S. flag? I mean, what's your connection to it? What does that feel like for you, especially as someone who's been in the U.S. military before?
That the flag means a lot to all military. We carry it everywhere we go. Everywhere we go, any country we go into, we fly it. It means a lot because whenever we have fallen soldier come back or fallen Marine come back, that flag is draped across that casket. It's handed to the loved ones at the funeral. I mean, it means a lot. It's embedded in my heart. And it's one of those things where whenever I started, I remember the first interview, I did a little research on it, and then all of a sudden, whenever I found out that it actually didn't make the stars for it, I felt like I was at home. I felt like it was almost like it was meant. So I'm stuck here.
But that's really powerful, because I think in the manufacturing community, you know, even whenever I was working in manufacturing, sometimes it's so easy for us to get disconnected with what it is that we're making and what difference it makes, like what it goes into and you know, what it means to people. And it's always amazing to hear the stories behind things. Obviously, the U.S. flag is something that's very well known and means a lot to a lot of people. But I think it's so amazing to make that kind of connection with what you're making and what it goes into, and having, especially you, such a personal connection. I think that's something that we take for granted sometimes, but everybody in the manufacturing community is making something meaningful to someone. And I think it's even better if what you're making means a great deal to you at a personal level.
Yeah, every orientation I do, every new hire that comes in, I kind of show a couple of videos, show a couple of what it actually means to people outside of this community, across America, what they're putting in their hand, what they're looking at on a day-to-day basis, and how much it means and how much it signifies to people around the United States.
Yeah, it's amazing what a connection people have to what you guys are making. That's amazing. What about, how about you? From your perspective, having been a part of the company early on and sort of this sort of transition that happened, I mean, what does it mean to you personally to be a part of an organization that's making something that's so significant to Americans everywhere?
Well, it's a privilege. I mean, I feel personally honored to be a part of the group that makes the star fields and for our U.S. flag of what it represents, you know, for us as citizens.
Absolutely. What about you, Aline?
Well, I started I started actually on the 1990, and I can say technically the embroidery is starting into my blood. So I started to get passion to to become, uh, I guess, one of the embroidery best designers and programmers. So I started, with like Larry was mentioned before, with old fashioned work, for all this women wear and top embroideries. And then later, like Larry said, becomes think about to do the star field for the American flag. So that was scared. And we start working on there, and then when we see the orders come in and they start seeing everywhere you walk or go, you see the flag. I said, well, that's what I do. So how proud of it? Right? Which you feel proud of it when you see it flying, or when you see somebody's honor of the flag or respect into the flags, and people talk about it. It's so great feeling be part of I would say be part of the manufacturing, because we do the star fields since 1999, since I have recollection, up to now. That not only that, I mean, we did also the United States Space Force flag for the NASA, and all these kind of values to our company, to our team here. It's tremendous. It means a lot to us. Being a lot of proud of being American and become citizens of the United States. And all this thing is just a great thing that has happened to us now, and hopefully keep doing the same thing going forward.
Yeah, I can remember walking into the facility, and this is, I guess you had started getting some of the new equipment, but to see, I don't think people can appreciate to see that much star field when you see it all stretched across the equipment and it's being embroidered and it's all these stars. I don't know. I can't describe the feeling. It's just amazing how much you guys are producing, and then to kind of have that revelation of this is part of the American flag. They're making parts of the American flag here in rural South Carolina, and it's an awesome story, and it's an awesome feeling to walk in and see all these star fields being made. And do you feel like your people have that connection as well? Is that one of those things that you find they're proud to share with their families, is like, this is what I'm doing? Do you get that sense of excitement about that from the employees as well?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think that's kind of a new culture we really start up. Is really tell them how important it is, and needs to know what actually they're doing for. It's not only coming to the 8 hours or whatever hours and go home. It's just the importance of, look, you're actually part of the American flag manufacturing, and we go over with them, and I feel connection with the people, which they appreciate of what they do, and I feel proud of what they do. I mean, many comments that people say, feel happy to work in here. I love to do the star fields and work on the machines and things like that. So I feel like they do appreciate what we do.
And what we try and do, Adrienne, I agree with the line. I think everybody has just a deep sense of that what we're doing just as a notch, maybe a notch more valuable to Americans all across the world, really, and to military families. And we bring in veterans occasionally to talk to us and to talk to the whole group, to relay that message, to let them know. And we've got flags that have been brought back to us in frames that have been flown over bases in Iraq and military bases around the world with veterans signing and thanking us for the flag. And we've been donating to this Quilts of Valor organization, who started, it's still a nonprofit, but started as just a handful of women sewing quilts for returning wounded veterans. And it's exploded. I think it started in Georgia by just a group of home sewers. It has exploded into a nationwide organization now, Quilts of Valor. And they have sewing regions all across the country with volunteers sewing and putting together quilts for all returning veterans. And we give them our stars, and our stars become part of all these quilts. And we've had ceremonies here thanking us for those contributions. It just, like you said, it just kind of, like Alam was saying, the hair on his arm always stands up when he talks about the American. And when you walk into this factory, I defy somebody not to smile and get a twinge of patriotism going through their veins, just by the nature of what we do.
Yeah, I was getting chills when you were talking about that. I was like, I mean, just like I said, the connection and how deeply personal that is, and to be a part of something so much bigger than yourself, that's such a gift. It's
it's powerful. So yeah, I was getting the chills too, Lon. My arms were standing up too. That's a really powerful message.
It's amazing. I mean, if you start really analyzing and, be part of, not only on the American, actually, every word that knows the American flag is when you see it, it's kind of, every, like when I walk dealers, Motor Beach or some other place and I see all the flag, I say, hey, I'm part of the flag right there. So it just feel good, and sometimes when I work with people, I say the same thing. My manufacturer is actually what it does, part of, that's part of this flag. So it's, like I said, it's emotional. A lot of the things is when you love what you do, it just become emotional pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I've been in attendance at military funerals, and the flag being folded and handed over to the family member it's a powerful thing to behold. And it's a flag, but it means so much more, right? And it's something that is a symbol in so many different ways for so many different people. So it's a powerful exchange that happens there with those flags as well. So, and you guys are a part of that. That's really incredible.
Yeah. And we have a very important occasion coming up in this country the year after next. The 250th anniversary of America is 2026. So they're calling it the semi-quincentennial. And I don't think you may not be old enough to have been around for the bicentennial, Adrienne, but I was here for the bicentennial, the 200th in 1976. I wasn't in the embroidery business. I was a kid, younger, but that was a massive event for American flags, the 200th anniversary, 1976. And all the flag guys I know talk about that, other than 9/11, was the biggest single event for American flags. And of course, now the year after next, we've got the 250th. So they're calling it either the semi-quincentennial or the quarter millennial. But there's going to be celebrations in the nation, and we're gearing up for that, and hopefully a great time for America's future. We're hoping.
Yeah, that's exciting. That's extremely exciting. More people need to buy their American flags from
Made in America.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Made in America,
Yeah.
truly made in America. And the Starfield's made right there in Kingstree, South Carolina. I mean, that's powerful. Like you said, 40% is in South Carolina, the manufacturing.
We think it's close to 40% of all American flags are made in South Carolina. Yep. Yeah, it's a big part of the market.
You probably really need to ramp up for this big occasion in 2026, though. I'm sure that's going to start building up for that one.
Yep.
Every time you see a flag made in Kingstree, you know it's us.
That's right. He will be able to call you by name.
Yeah, we have, of course, we embroider from other embroideries actually at the same time. So they're
in different states.
In different states.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So it's not only South Carolina, but we are the dominant South Carolina. So we've got the attention of the lawmakers down here, and we're doing everything we can. E-commerce has the uncontrolled and unmonitored and unpoliced methods in e-commerce sales can easily make somebody believe that they're buying a flag in America, and they're not. They don't follow the labeling laws and the trade laws and the guidelines of brick and mortar retail. But we're working on stopping that so that we don't mislead. We're not protectionists. We're not preaching that no flag can be made anywhere else in the world. We just think that American consumer deserves to know if they're buying a flag, they deserve to know where it's made. And current textile labeling laws require that, but they're not being followed. And there's all sorts of issues. I don't want to bore your podcast listeners with the de minimis issue, which all textile companies are up against. These imports, any import of $800 or less in value comes into this country unchecked, no HTS code identification, no duties paid if it's under $800 in value, and there's no way to track it, there's no way to tax it, and there's no way to police it. So that's the way a lot of foreign flags that are falsely being advertised as made in America are coming into the country through this de minimis loophole. But we're members of NCTO now, the National Council of Textile Organizations, big lobbying group up in DC, focused entirely on textiles, and we're getting the word out of this situation. Sparky's been helpful in his department, and we've got the attention of senators and congresspeople throughout the country. and we think we're going to get some movement.
Yeah,
Uh,
I certainly hope so, because what you're talking about has come up in conversations with other textile producers as well that are kind of in other business segments, but still fighting very similar battles, right? So there's an erosion of their market based on some of the other practices, and it's a real concern. And to your point, with what you guys specifically are producing, the US flag and the modern consumer, the American consumer, really deserves that level of transparency to know, because most of the time their intent is to buy something that's made in America, especially the US flag, and to be misled or misinformed and make a purchase that doesn't contribute to American manufacturers. I'm sure that's not their intent. So there's definitely work to be done there. And it sounds like there's been a lot of challenges in the textile market overall due to some of those very same challenges. And I certainly hope that headway is made in that, because our textile community has shrunk over the years for many years, and some have really endured and been able to pivot and thrive in niche areas, much like you did. But at the same time, there's still a lot of pressure, and there's a lot of competition, and there's a lot of things that put people at a disadvantage. So I certainly hope that there is progress made there to support manufacturers just like Embroidery Solutions to be successful long term, and for the American consumer to have transparency into what they are making a purchase on.
Exactly. Well said, Adrienne. We're going to bring you to our next meeting in Washington.
I always said, you can take the girl out of textiles, but you can't take the textiles out of the girl. So I'm a textiles girl through and through, and always will be. So it's got a special place in my heart for sure. And what you guys are doing, and obviously Embroidery Solutions has a special place in my heart, because you guys, we've worked together for quite some time, and you've continued to be, a partner to SMEP for many years. But you guys are extra special, and really love what you're doing, and admire so much your contribution to the production of the U.S. flag, and the fact that you're making it here in South Carolina. I'm a veteran's daughter and granddaughter. It's, to me, that's something that's a mission that's very close to my own heart. So I really admire you guys for what you're doing, and for taking it so seriously, and giving back to that community, the veteran community as well. That's a really incredible thing, and that's something that needs attention and more people should know about.
Thank you, Adrienne.
Thank you for your support, like always. I think, like I said, Larry mentioned earlier, but all this, what's happening now is, it won't be happening without all your help. SMEP and all the members there that are really worried and trying to help us all the time. And I think now it's really paid. Like, it's really paid for all the effort that USMEP and now it's been doing it. I would say that our new company right now is thanks to all of you too, and the effort to help us to grow this company, and we modernize as much as we want it, and with all this training and courses, and it's been a big help. I just want to tell you thank you for that.
Thank you. We just appreciate you allowing us to be a small part of your success story. That just means the most to all of us. And I know everybody enjoys working with you guys. And if we've done anything to help you move forward in a positive direction, that's so incredibly important to us and our mission. So thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yep. You have, Adrienne. Yep.
Thank you.
Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you being on the podcast with me today. Thank you so much for sharing your story and for all that you do for South Carolina, as well as what you're doing for the nation's flags. It's just a real privilege to have this time with you, and for you to be able to share your story. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Adrienne.
Thanks for listening to this very special Veterans Day episode of the 6 M's of Manufacturing podcast. Special shout out to the Embroidery Solutions team for joining us to share what it means to their organization to stitch the star fields for the red, white, and blue. Be sure to visit the episode notes for reference links and information shared during this podcast episode. Did you like what you heard? That's awesome. Be sure to follow our podcast and share with your network. And remember, don't just make it better.